The other thing I did is when you're manipulating things in this way, I made sure that the flat was smooth as well, or pardon me, the bottom was smooth as well. When you're manipulating things using vertex manipulation like this, and you can do this for many other things. I've done this to create landscapes. I've done this to create strange shaped machinery, that sort of thing. It's a good idea to have the exposed face as, give it a color, but leave all the interior faces as no draw. And the reason why is you can clearly see if you've got a corner out, and that can happen while you're manipulating. So I did a dev texture when I did the same thing to the bottom to make sure it was flat, and then all I did was I chose this, replaced it with no draw, and whammo, the bottom was no longer textured. I did that because I'm working in Alien Swarm and it's always top down, so I want the bottoms of shapes and so on to have no draw. If you're doing a first-person shooter and this ramp, a player is supposed to run under this ramp, well, you should take a concrete texture such as this, and whatever. You can work on it as you see fit. Working in a top-down shooter like Alien Swarm gives me that advantage. I don't have to worry about the bottoms. Next thing I did is I went and I angled all these textures, and really I find it just fast to just grab the rotation thing and just just play it by ear, play it by eye, and the bottom, and then keep doing that. That looks pretty good. Okay, we're getting a little off, and that sort of thing. I should also mention, when I created this original roadside, I did the same thing with these things. And the way I did that was I grabbed this, I rotated it. I used the curb edge as my guide, and there, that looks about right. And I hit left, line left, and I use the edge because I know that absolutely those two line up. And then what I did is I made sure that the yellow line in the middle was precisely lined up. I don't care as much about these outer edges because there's more dirt and crap over here, so it's less visible, but this yellow line in the middle is very players will notice if this is off a little bit, it'll be like a fly in the ointment. Something else also, and I'll just do this here. I made a texture here. Where are we? I made another version of that. So this is obviously, if my ramp is supposed to be one way, I would just use a white line. If it was supposed to be like a two-way highway, just use the yellow line. I wouldn't bother getting into like whether these lines should be dashed or anything. I just don't think it's important for gameplay. Alright, so where were we? So I finished aligning these, so that looks nice. And in reduction, I just left these curves just like this, at this height. This height is actually specific. First of all, it does look like the way a lot of highways and freeways are built, but also I would plant alien spawners on the edges of these things, and I would give them this is Alien Swarm I'm talking about here. I would give these I wanted to have it look like the aliens were kind of crawling over top of this curb. Made sure it was a little bit high, made sure it was a little bit out, and then went in here and start burrowed. Yes, and the animation here. Let me look that animation up. This here, this act climb off rail 52 was the animation I was using in Alien Swarm. So put on burrow activity 52 and then unburrow activity is idle. So that means that when in Alien Swarm, when this bug spawns, just before it spawns, an animation plays which shows an alien crawling over. The idle position is it blinks into appearance hanging upside down. That's the idle position. Then it runs the animation crawling over a 52 height. This is roughly this distance is roughly 52. I also tried something else. I tried dropping the curve down and then adding these railing models, which are in Left 4 Dead. Left 4 Dead has a lot of great urban props and so on and so forth. To make it nice, I also dropped the texture down just so this rough edge was here. I should mention something about the outer edge. The outer edge I just left in the ordinary. I didn't rotate it like the way I rotated the inner edge of the curb, but I used this nice concrete which is generic enough. The reason why is if you rotate it and there are stains, the stains get rotated and it looks a little bit odd. So even though this curb has horizontal lines here, you can't see them very well from a distance. So it's just sort of a nice generic. I made sure, however, that the top was aligned because this particular texture, it does have a bit of a stain, like a rust stain, and I wanted that.